Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and Apple's Privacy Manifest, which will be part of OS 17. So in September of 2023, Apple will be releasing OS 17 that has a lot of big changes for people who use the Apple iOS ecosystem. One of the big privacy changes that is happening as a result of iOS 17 will be what Apple is calling their Privacy Manifest. So Privacy Manifest will be a way for Apple to make sure that people who have apps, that they're being more transparent about how they're collecting data, who they share it with, what they're doing with it, and things like that. Some people are calling it name and shame because they're asking for a lot more granular information than was ever asked for before. What they'll be doing what Apple will be doing in the run-up to this iOS 17 will be trying to format the information that they already asked from apps in this manifest format. They will actually be putting things in categories so that app makers are transparent. So what they collect, what they share, why they share it, who they share it with, and they'll be contacting app makers if they don't have that information already in their policies in a format that will be more uniform and standard all across the Apple App Store. So this is a big deal. This is a big change. I think the previous big change that we had in the App Store for Apple was a couple years ago, when they implemented their app transparency. So app transparency, which made a lot of advertising opt-in. So the people who use Apple devices have to opt in to this advertising. It caused a huge uproar in the ad business because a lot of companies that before were able to get a lot more data about individuals who use the apps and app store. That information is now opt-in. Famously, I think Meta said they several $1 billion as a result of this change. I think that this is another big change, especially if either companies can't provide the information to be able to fill out the app manifest, the Apple Privacy Manifest in the way that they want, or if they put out the information and maybe they're, what they call name and shame, that it seems so egregious in terms of what their business practices are in terms of how they're sharing information. Also, Apple is hoping that this change will help minimize the capability of companies doing fingerprinting of people, especially off platform. So basically, companies have been working amongst themselves to share information about particular users. Apple is trying to make sure that that information is more secure within their app store, and they're not helping people be re-identified, especially if they don't choose to be identified within the app store or different places. So for companies that have apps, if your app does not fulfill all the categories that are required for this app Privacy Manifesto, Apple will be contacting you, and possibly if you can't fulfill those obligations now in the App Store, people's apps will probably be tossed out of the App Store. So I think a lot of people aren't thinking about this yet. They should be thinking about it if you have an app, or if Apple has contacted you now or soon. You should definitely try to do what it takes to fill out this information. I think the way of the future will be more transparency and more control for the users, especially if they use Apple products or the App Store. That's it. Thank you.